It all started with a pothole. Yes, a pothole. The kind of mundane, soul-crushing suburban problem that makes you question all your life choices. This one was special, though. It was not just a hole in the asphalt. It was a chasm, a gaping maw on Elm Street that had swallowed two delivery drones and a particularly ambitious squirrel. The Neighborhood Association, our very own council of well-meaning, but ultimately useless busy, convened an emergency meeting. The air in Janice's living room was thick with the scent of potpourri and simmering resentment. We had all gathered a veritable who's who of people with too much time on their hands. There was Brenda, from number 12, whose competitive gardening had reached warlord levels. There was Gary, who owned 3 identical, immaculately clean sedans and washed them on a rotating schedule. And me, just trying to survive another Tuesday night without losing my will to live. The topic, of course, was the pothole. Brenda suggested a strongly worded letter. Gary advocated for a citizen-led asphalt patching initiative. Then, from the back of the room, a new voice piped up. It was Kevin. Kevin was new. He had moved in last month and his lawn was already an unsettling shade of perfect green. He had an unnerving smile and wore loafers with no socks. Kevin stood up and said, "Friends, neighbors, why fill a hole when we can celebrate it?" A confused silence fell over the room. Janice's cat, a fluffy Persian named Chairman Meow, hissed from atop the mantelpiece. Chairman Meow was a good judge of character. "We should have listened to the cat," Kevin continued, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "This is not a pothole. It is a feature. A unique, artisanal, community-centric topographical anomaly. We should not hide it. We should embrace it. I propose we declare it a protected landmark." It was absurd. It was insane. It was, of course, immediately popular. Brenda saw an opportunity to plant exotic shade-loving ferns around the perimeter. Gary started talking about guided tours and a small, tasteful commemorative plaque. You see, in a world of HOA regulations and beige-colored conformity, Kevin's idea was a spark of madness we did not know we craved. It was different. It was edgy. So, a vote was held. It was unanimous. Everyone agreed. We were all on board. And we were all wrong. So very, very wrong. Phase 1 was deceptively charming. We christened the pothole the Elm Street Abyss. A small, hand-carved wooden sign was erected. Brenda's ferns thrived. Gary printed brochures, which, I admit, looked surprisingly professional. Tourists, mostly just confused people from the next town over, started showing up. They would peer into the abyss, take a picture, buy a cup of artisanal lemonade from Gary's kids, and leave, presumably to tell their friends about the weirdest cul-de-sac in the state. But then, things started to escalate. Kevin, now the de facto leader of the Abyss Preservation Society, suggested we enhance the visitor experience. "The abyss is not just a hole," he announced at the next meeting. "Build outdoors, naturally. Around the abyss itself, it is a mystery. What lies at the bottom? What secrets does it hold?" He proposed we start feeding the abyss, not with asphalt or gravel, but with offerings to appease it. Again, it sounded crazy, and again, everyone agreed. It started innocently enough. Someone tossed in a spare garden gnome. Another sacrificed a slightly chipped teacup. It was a joke, a quirky neighborhood ritual. We would gather on Friday evenings, a sort of secular communion, and toss our unwanted trinkets into the void. The abyss, however, seemed to have an appetite. T-hole grew not by a lot at first, just a few inches here and there. We told ourselves it was erosion, natural settling, but it was happening after every offering. K-Bean called it the abyss, accepting our gifts. He had a knack for branding. The offerings became more significant. Old furniture, broken appliances, that one stationary bike everyone bought in January and used for exactly 2 weeks. The abyss consumed it all, widening with each tribute. The ferns were swallowed, then the sign, then a significant portion of Gary's driveway. Gary was not happy, but Kevin convinced him it was a necessary sacrifice for the greater good of the community landmark. Gary, wanting to remain a board member of the society he helped found, reluctantly agreed. The absurdity became the new normal. We had to park our cars 2 blocks away. Mail was delivered via a complex Ropan pulley system spanning the growing crater. Property values, against all logic, went up. People were fascinated by the pothole cult of Elm Street. We were a local news story. then a viral internet sensation. The turning point came the night we sacrificed Janus's prize-winning pumpkin. It was a beast of a gourd, the size of a small car. It took 6 of us to roll it to the edge. As it tumbled into the darkness, a low, guttural rumbling sound echoed from below. Not the sound of a pumpkin hitting dirt. It was a deep, resonant, almost biological sound. A burp. For the first time, a flicker of doubt entered our collective consciousness. But Kevin was there, with his reassuring, sockless loafer-wearing presence. Did you hear that? He beamed. The abyss is speaking to us. It is pleased. The rumbling became a regular occurrence, and with it, a strange, sweet smell started wafting up from the depths. It was cloying, like overripe fruit and burnt sugar. It seeped into our houses, our clothes, our dreams. The cats and dogs in the neighborhood started acting strange. Sherman Meow had packed his bags and moved in with a family on Maple Avenue. Smart cat. The abyss was now 50 feet across. It had consumed half of Brenda's prize-winning rose garden and was starting to nibble at the foundation of Janice's house. Janice seemed oddly unconcerned. She had started wearing flowing robes and referred to Kevin as the prophet. I was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, declaring us sentient. Every expanding pothole of protected landmark was not our brightest idea. I voiced my concerns at the next meeting. I was shouted down. Blasphemer. Create Brenda, whose roses were now composting at the bottom of a cosmic anomaly. Non-believer, yelled Gary, whose third sedan was now teetering precariously on the crumbling edge of his garage. Kevin just smiled that unnerving smile. Doubt is the first step towards true enlightenment, he said, patting my shoulder. The abyss provides for those who believe. And it did, in a way. The strange, sweet smell was getting stronger, and we were all starting to feel different, happier, more content. Worries about mortgage, lawn care, and global politics seemed to fade away, replaced by a simple, all-consuming desire to please the abyss, to feed it, to watch it grow. Last night, we had our biggest ceremony yet. The entire neighborhood was there, chanting Kevin's weird mantras under the eerie glow of the sweet-smelling acid. Kevin stood at the edge of the abyss, arms outstretched. It is time, he declared. The final offering. The ultimate union. We will become one with the abyss. And everyone cheered. They cheered as Gary lovingly polished his last sedan one final time before pushing it over the edge. They cheered as Brenda tossed her gardening trophies in after it. They cheered as Janice calmly unplugged her refrigerator, full of organic kale and kombucha, and tipped it into the darkness. And now, they are looking at me. I am the last one. Kevin is smiling. Brenda and Gary and Janice are smiling. They are all smiling the same wide, empty smile. They are pointing towards the hole, and then at me. It seems I am the dessert. It is funny. Really. It all started with a simple agreement. We all thought it was a good idea. We were all on the same page. Everyone agreed. And now, as I stand on the crumbling precipice of what used to be a quiet suburban street, I can see it clearly. We were all wrong. Horrendously, catastrophically, and beautifully wrong. The sweet smell is overwhelming now, and the darkness below looks surprisingly inviting. If you enjoyed this descent into madness, be a pal and share, like, and subscribe for more.